Alright, doing a video that probably is a mistake, but anyway, couple of really dumb comments. So the idiotic ether guy has got one in my spam folder, and then this guy defending the Professor Lewin, there's two voltages in the same place. Bullshit. So I figure I'll respond to these comments, probably just one at a time because it's going to probably take me forever. Long-winded morons and such. So look, there's a simple argument here about this Professor Lewin thing. Drawing. I have the drawing open. Okay. So look, if I took a standard volt. Okay. Here we have a changing magnetic field. Here we go. Little B field. And if I took a voltmeter, all right, and I just put a wire around like this, the voltmeter will indicate a voltage. It will pick up a voltage and it will read some sort of volts. Volts equals something. It'll happen. And so the argument is just that, okay, well, let's take that same voltmeter and we'll just put a break in the wire here and hook it up to a circuit, okay, that has two resistors in it. Okay, so I haven't changed the fact that the voltmeter is picking up energy from this field, and now I'm going to measure a voltage. No, technically we're not taking this much out, right? Because we're going to measure the voltage in exactly the same place. So both of these are going to come out like this. All right. So we have this kind of silly argument that obviously we haven't changed the fact that the voltmeter is in the field and it's being affected by the field, and you can't undo that. Just can't. And and especially if I read it from two different sides, I'm going to get different. If I had a voltmeter over here, it seems kind of obvious I would read a different voltage than the voltmeter over here. And that's all this argument's about, is where are the probe wires going? And the probe wires are the problem. That there's no way to tap this thing in this field without your probe wires being in the field. Now that argument was made simply, directly. So just explain how the probe wires can't be an explanation for the difference. Explain how the probe wires being in the field, having electricity, EMF, pushed through them by the coil, doesn't affect their ability to read voltages. It's not affected at all. Doesn't matter that you've essentially done this. Take the voltmeter, okay, and try to measure. Here's a B field radiating, okay. I connect that to the same voltmeter. I connect this circuit to a voltmeter and then have another circuit connected to it where there's a B field, a changing field creating voltage in the wire. Why don't you just explain to me how that's not a problem? Voltmeters understand that this is fake over here. This is a fake reality. It doesn't exist in the real world. And only this reality is the real reality which you're testing. So why don't you explain how that's not the truth? So there's no explanation. Again, it's just they keep ignoring the simple argument. Just keep ignoring it completely. Just pretending the argument hasn't been made. It wasn't stated directly. This is a problem of probing. So why don't you explain how it's not a problem? Why don't you explain how the probes are immune to this problem? And they don't do that. It's a simple request. Just explain how it doesn't affect. Having the probe wires in the field doesn't affect them. That's all. That's all you need to do. Is that too much to ask? Apparently it is. So anyway, so Dev Vet. I guess he's a vet because he has lots of dogs. But anyway, it says nope. Okay, brilliant. There are no errors caused by the measurements. So again, no explanation of how it's possible that you could measure, that you could have the wires in a active magnetic field without them creating a voltage in the probe wires. No explanation how that's not a reality. And the voltages indicated are the actual voltages over the resistors. I'm just saying, there's no way to measure the actual voltages over the resistors, in the sense that they don't probe where the resistors are, but they probably should. But regardless, I mean, the issue is the same location. It's not over the resistors. It's like one location in the wire has two different voltages. And the simple argument is that's ludicrous. That's like the light bulb being on and the light bulb being off at the same time. It's just not a possible truth. The voltages truly are different, says you, and can be measured very, very accurately. Well, that's the whole point being argued, and you're not addressing it. You're just declaring. I know it can be, even though I can point out how it's obviously impossible, because there's no Faraday's law says it's impossible. Faraday's law says the voltmeter wires and the probes themselves, the metal instrument you're connecting to the circuit, is going to be affected by the very field you're trying to measure. So the very field you're trying to measure is going to be affecting the instrument you're using to measure it. And that's just a fact. That's Faraday's law, retard. Faraday's law. Okay. There really is no controversy. There's no rational response from you people. The accusation's been made that you can't probe this, and you haven't explained how you can. Why don't you just explain? Why don't you just show? Why don't you do the experiment and show me that it doesn't matter where you move the probe wires, the voltage will always read the same. I can move my voltmeter over here, I can move it over here, I can move it over here. It doesn't matter where I move it. It doesn't matter where I move the twist or turn the wires, and it won't affect the voltage at all. Why don't you show that? Because I don't think you can. All right. Just how long people are willing to spend to fully appreciate Faraday's law. What's to appreciate? I mean, it's friggin' rudimentary. It's just pointing out that if there's energy hitting a wire, that the energy will, a certain percentage of it, be absorbed by the wire. That's hardly profound, okay? Maybe you think that's profound, but I don't think that's very profound. If you have a problem with the word law, that's okay. No, I have a problem with people calling a stupid recognition of a relationship that is more like a tendency, okay, that in most cases this is how it turns out, in most cases this is what it'll do, and they start writing this into some sort of thing that they say every case is the same case, when clearly every case isn't the same case, and measuring voltages in a circuit where the voltage is being created in the actual wire in different locations. The wire is actually the instrument creating a voltage, not demonstrating a voltage. Yeah, I might argue that that's ludicrous. You should go fuck yourself. You should spend a little more time trying to understand just how beautiful. See, I mean, what is that? It's baby talk. Oh, Faraday's law, beautiful. It's beautiful. It's a simple acknowledgement that there's little bits of energy coming off of magnets. When you create an electromagnet, it's little bits of energy. And if there's a charge, there's little bits of energy. And the energy goes off of the thing, and it's collected by wires. I mean, I guess for you people it's spooky action or something, because Faraday doesn't really explain it. Virtual photons, I don't think Faraday said that. But yeah, it's hardly miraculous. Hardly something, you know, I would waste the word beautiful on. All right, no wonder Professor Lewin's impatience shows. No, his profound stupidity shows in the sense he seems clueless. He doesn't know what the internet is. He doesn't know how to find a video that's got 500,000 views on it and his own name in it. I mean, he doesn't seem very connected to reality. Kirchhoff's law is a special case. So again, those are just Lewin's words. No, it's the general case. It's not a special case. It's the case that works 99.999% of the time. It's not a special case. It seems like it's the general case. And it doesn't apply in the case of a varying magnetic field. Well, the point is nothing applies in the case of a varying magnetic field when you can't probe it from outside of the field. You can't get outside the field and then measure anything inside, because the radiation is hitting your probes, idiot. Okay, it's like fixing a nuclear power plant or something from the outside. Oh yeah, I'm going to fix it from out here where it's safe and I can't get irradiated. And I'll tell you exactly what's happening on the inside, even though I can't get inside. I mean, that would be retarded, right? Yes, that's retarded. All right. Kurt shifts slow. Okay, we did that. So he's just repeating what Lewin said. So he's another idiot who thinks repeating something 17 times means you've made an argument. And you haven't made an argument. You're just repeating yourself. You are trying to do what some 99% of electrical engineers and physicists, myself included, so I don't know which one you are, electrical engineer or a physicist. So you're a physicist and a vet? Appear to do when they first see this problem. Okay, so he's just saying himself is also does this 99% of what people do. So he's saying you are trying to get KLC to work. No, I didn't give a shit about KLC, frankly. I don't give a shit about any of this stuff. You know what I give a shit about is what's actually causing the effect. And under some recognition of reality. And the fact is you people are just full of woo. 2 voltages in the same place. Again, it's like saying a light bulb is on and it's off at the same time. Now, clearly it can be a frequency and we can know that it can actually be off and on at a cycle. But that's not what anybody's arguing here, is that there's some sort of cycle problem and we're not recognizing the fact that there's 2 voltages because it's turning off so fast the voltmeter can't tell. That's not the issue. One voltmeter is picking up one phase and the other voltmeter is picking up the other phase or some kind of bullshit like that. That's not the argument here. You're making the argument that when it's off, somehow it's rational for one person to see it on. And that's not rational. The induced voltages really are different over the 2 resistors. You keep saying the same shit. This isn't about over the 2 resistors. This is about one location in a wire. So at one point in the wire can't have something other than one volume of water in it in that location. That's a loop rule. That's going back to, you know, make your stupid little box to put everything in and do your math. I mean, you can't have 2 things at the same time in there. It's only one thing in that pipe at any one moment. Only the current in both is the same, so that's even more ludicrous. Because frankly, the wattage has to be the same. So you can't change something. Right, you do understand that the wattage in that location on that little piece of pipe has to be exactly the same. So if you change the voltages and you have the same current, that means you have different wattage in the same location. You can really say, you're going to tell me you can make sense out of that? Come on. The measurements are accurate precisely, says you. So this all this overstatement. I mean, I don't know what he's got. I mean, I guess he's horny. You know, he wants to be licking Lewin's, you know, half bald head or something, because they aren't influenced by varying magnetic field. The measurement loops are accurate precisely because they aren't. It doesn't make any sense. Influenced by varying magnetic field. Everything is. Every piece of conductor in the universe is affected. If it's in the range of the field, it's going to be affected. So it's just a nonsense statement. KLC therefore applies in those loops. Again, I don't care. This isn't a KLC argument. Beyond the fact that you can use the loop rule because the inductance is irrelevant. You know, in the sense that the voltages are under the loop rule correct. There's an end result, and you can read that. The Professor Lewin's whole point. No, his whole point is his refusal to answer the point made, which is, how do you make your probes immune? How do your probes go into the irradiated nuclear plant without getting irradiated? So why don't you explain how you walked into the nuclear power plant where the radiation was obscene, and you stuck a probe there, okay, and stood there and didn't die? Why don't you explain to me how you did that? The voltage over the resistor equals the voltage reading on the meter. So again, more nonsense. It's one location on the wire. It has nothing to do with the... I could put 45 different resistors, okay? Totally irrelevant which one chooses to take the path. We're measuring specifically after the resistor, not inside the resistors, not some other kind of dopey shit. Is totally irrelevant. We're talking about one location in the wire. The voltage over the resistor equals the voltage reading on the meter. There's 2 meters. They're reading a different number, idiot. So your own sentence doesn't make any sense. The voltage over the resistor equals the voltage reading on the meter. So I mean, all I have to do is, again, turn the meters in a different location, a position, and I'll have different voltages. Does that mean there's different voltages in the resistors? The resistors knew I moved the meters, and therefore the resistors changed? This is stupid. Alright, the voltage in the resistor equals the voltage reading on the meter, provided there is no enclosed changing magnetic field. Well, there has to be a changing field to have a voltage induced, so I don't know what argument you're making there, but regardless, doesn't really matter, I suppose. I resisted this problem for many weeks before I finally appreciated the difference between Faraday's law and KLC. Well, the only difference I see, frankly, they're both just loop rules. One of them requires you to do an integral and the other one doesn't. So, yay for KCL. Yeah, why not do the simple thing instead of the long, drawn-out, hard thing when you get exactly the same answer in the end? KLC is a shortcut that really works, so why not use it? Faraday understood this. How you got proof of that? Maxwell understood that. You got proof of this? Where Maxwell knew that, oh yeah, it's really easy to probe active fields. You know, you can go inside a you can go inside radioactive nuclear power plants, no problem. And you're immune to the radiation by your special powers. They understood that? No, I don't think they did. All back in the 1800s. Go ahead and prove it. Why don't you show me where Faraday or Maxwell wrote about probing a circuit in a changing magnetic field. Why don't you show me that? And today, hardly anybody understands, fully appreciates Faraday's law, even with the power of the internet and modern computers. Well, again, how does that have anything to do with it? It's Professor Lewin who doesn't seem to understand, right? Yes, the rest of the books written, the books from 100 years ago or 200 years ago, don't see all these problems that you're finding. So it's Lewin's problem, not everybody else's problem. You're the exception, not the rule. Even when the problem is broken down for us like this, you didn't break anything down. Again, the other guy did the experiment. Showed, look, I moved the wire, the voltage changes. The vast majority of physicists and engineers desperately want to believe that only KLC is true. So again, more nonsense. That's not what's being argued here at all. It is truly quite remarkable. No, you're truly quite clueless, as you can't even listen to the argument. Lewin printed the argument in bold text. The problem is probing the experiment. No, there was nothing about KCL in that sentence, nothing about the loop rule being accurate. Just an argument about the fact that the reason why Professor Lewin thinks there's some sort of field that needs to be acknowledged is because he's not understanding that he can't probe the experiment. Duh. Can you imagine all these portable devices? So here's another idiot's going to say, oh, we're all dependent on this, and if it wasn't for Faraday, we would never figured it out or something. Of course we would have. The relationship is obvious that fields, magnetic fields moving creates current in wires. Okay? Faraday didn't invent that, you retard. He didn't make that into the universe. It's a function of the universe. There's no law. Oh, this is so stupid. We're surrounded by varying magnetic fields, yet designers of these devices know hardly anything about Faraday's law or Maxwell's equations. Well, again, they know plenty about it. They know, I did it when I worked on circuit boards, that, yeah, one part can influence another part, either through heat or vibration, frequency, lots of different things that can be emitting some kind of noise, and the other parts can pick up the noise. And so then you have to create shields and do different things and put the parts on different sides of the board and do all kinds of things to try to equalize it, or even make it, you know, find the resonant frequency between the two, and so they won't disturb each other or some other bullshit. And that's all this is about, you idiot. Not whining, but it's just wrong to say that these voltages can't be measured accurately. Well, why don't you prove it, or why don't you demonstrate with a rational argument? I'm pleading with you, essentially saying, look, why don't you explain to me how if I just take voltmeter wires, right, in a loop, right, I got a voltmeter, I just connect the red probe to the black probe, and then I shove a magnet through it, and I'll get a voltage on the voltmeter. You do understand that's the fact, right? And that when I'm probing the circuit here, nothing's changing. There's still a magnet, there's still a loop of wire for my voltmeter, and now I'm supposed to accurately measure another voltage when there's already a voltage in my voltmeter. You do understand there could be a conflict there, don't you? I mean, amazing that you feel no obligation to give me any kind of indication of why that extra voltage you created in the voltmeter wires doesn't matter. Why doesn't it matter? Professor Lewin has a bunch of other videos on the subject to help you. Oh, more just absolute nonsense. I've watched these fucking videos. I've played them. I found the same thing when he did this. I was playing the video and I pointed out how it doesn't make any fucking sense. It's retarded. Anyway, definitely not intuitive, but truly amazing. Oh, it's amazing that you can't make an argument that these guys understood this back in 1800s. Understood what? They didn't deal with this subject at all, you idiot. They didn't. Again, show me where Faraday or Maxwell made any comment on probing active electric circuits. Why don't you go show me their documentation on that subject, shithead? You're just talking out of your ass. Okay, if you do finally get it, shove it up your ass. Please throw Professor Lewin a bone of gratitude for what? Number one, he's demonstrating exactly what the arrogance of physics, ivory tower idiots who can't even find a video on YouTube. They're so moronic, and they're going to tell everybody else what reality is. He's going to tell me what reality is, and he can't find a video on YouTube with his own name in it. You don't see how preposterous that is? Yeah. I too called him all manner of names under my breath until I finally got it. Well, what did you get? You're not giving me your insight. What was your, where was your nirvana moment? What was the Walking Dead man you talked to, the dead Jesus? What exactly was it that convinced you, idiot? You're not providing me any information. It's ludicrous to have two wattages in one location. In my opinion, it's ludicrous to think there's two currents or two voltages or any combination of current and voltage at the same place. It's stupid. It's ludicrous. It's why not just say loop-de-doo? The whole universe is made out of balls of loop-de-doo. It just sounds fucking stupid. And why should I think it sounds anything other than fucking stupid? I am so sorry for your doubting. Well, you doubted, and then now you're saying, oh, I pity your doubting because I learned. What did you learn? Did you actually go lick his head and then you figured it out by licking his head? Well, what the fuck? I mean, there's no insight here. You're not giving me any kind of, oh, look, all you have to do is think of in terms of like, well, the probe wires don't matter because they're left, right, and they unbalance each other no matter where they are in the configuration. So as long as they're the same length and they're exposed to exactly the same amount of the field, it wouldn't. You're not making any argument at all. Shit for brain. Wow, it's so naive to say that you can't accurately measure a voltage in the presence of a varying magnetic field. I'll say it again. You're violating Faraday's law. So why don't you explain to me how a loop of wire in a magnetic field doesn't pick up the energy from the magnetic field? Just explain it to me. The circuit does, but the probe wires don't. So the circuit wires are creating a voltage, no battery, right? So they're creating a voltage, but the probe wires, which are made out of the same thing, wire, conductor, they're not affected. They're magically protected. So, yeah, they can go inside the nuclear power plant and they don't get irradiated because they're special. Shit. Fucking goddamn cunt. Anyway. Wow, what an angry person you are. I'm frustrated is what I am. Because, yeah, you're all religious kooks. You can't make a reasoned argument. You don't pay a single bit of attention to anything said by anybody but your gods. You can recite them verbatim, word for word, but you can't paraphrase somebody else's argument with a shit. Again, you just totally ignored the foundations of the electric boom guy's argument, which was, regardless of KCL or whatever, KFC, this is about the fact that you can't probe this experiment. Oh, man, you're dumb. I haven't seen anyone divert their lack of understanding to hostility like this. Well, again, we'll see who's going to be proven to be the dumbass in these conversations, jackass. So for posterity, let's just remember who this cunt was, so everybody can go take a big piss on your grave too, asswipe. bold talk from a shit-talking say-nothinger. I mean, if you actually made some kind of fucking argument here besides just repeating the inane, vacuous arguments of Lewin, then maybe I could have some measure of respect. But you didn't say a frickin' thing in this mush. And the time it took you to create this insult to Professor Lewin, insult first. He's the one throwing the insults first, and that's the whole goddamn point. He's just a pompous, arrogant douche, and he's demonstrated it clearly, calling people flat earthers because they disagree with him, casting aspersions on the integrity of their fucking college degree because they disagree with him. He's a little fucking whining weasel, and he's fucking wrong, and he's made a douching, stupid fool of himself, so he's going to get exactly what he fucking deserves. He made this mess, and now he's going to have to fucking lie in it. You know, clearly people have made this argument to him in the past, and clearly he just keeps evading it. Alright, you could have spent understanding what he's trying to explain. He's not trying to explain anything. Again, this isn't that hard to explain. I take a voltmeter. Here's an active magnetic field, okay, a changing magnetic field. I take my voltmeter wires and I go around the active field. I read a voltage on the voltmeter. What else do I need to explain? So as long as my probe wires are being influenced by a magnetic field, they're going to read a voltage because the probe wires are made of fucking wire. Faraday's law, idiot. Oh, man. Draft physics. Are you smoking pot? Well, you should have said something else. I mean, pot smoking doesn't really make you engage in arguments about physics. Anyway, it really suppresses your cognitive abilities. Well, what are you eating? You're eating fucking donuts, right? You're a Homer Simpson fat douche. Get what you deserve, jackass. Which is gratuitously, pointlessly insulted by way too many words by somebody with way too little argument and probably way too little dick. Fuckhead. So, yes, your comment belongs in the spam folder. Dumbass. Now it's in the delete folder. It wasn't a fucking argument. Alright, I really can't deal with this stupid ether crap right now. Well, maybe I'll just read the second half. Here's how ether solves the problem. If we assume a standing wave, so more crap, why would I assume a standing wave? A standing wave is caused by reflection. So photon would have to go all the way to its destination and reflect all the way back before we could somehow see it. Oh, that would be pretty retarded. In the ether, it's clear why it would not disappear. So more nonsense. The wave keeps sustaining the resulting image. And more just nonsense, right? So he can move pieces of ether. You know, they can move, but nothing else can move. So nothing can move independently, but the ether stuff can move. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. No, it doesn't make any sense at all. The only problem is we would have to find out where the energy for this comes from. Yeah, I've already made this argument 7 million times. Your stupid ether can't create the pressure necessary. All right, unless every piece of your ether is already moving. It's already jiggling in a direction. I made that exact point. All right, let's pretend for a second that we agree. No, we're never going to agree on a damn thing, so there's no point. Why don't we agree that this is a pointless conversation? You find nothing impossible to imagine. I find it the easiest thing in the world to imagine nothing. All right, so we really don't have a good starting ground. All right, agree that moving particles naturally create an afterimage. Why would I ever talk? I don't even, yes, no, I'm not going to read it. This afterimage crap is just so fucking retarded. No, I don't accept anything like that. I don't even want to talk that. You don't do butt sex with somebody else. Have conversations about lubricating your anus with somebody else. Totally uninterested. Oh, this is disgusting. Afterimage. It's just so fucking idiotic. Oh, unreadable tripe. I can't believe he said that after I already responded to the whole idea of your moronic after image is such nonsense. Oh. There's the universe, and then there's the universe's after image. I mean, it's just so fucking stupid. Oh, God, I hate this planet. A planet of idiots. Alright, that's enough. Until next time, such. It's just too stupid. People are too stupid.